updates on these missing scientists. Let's get into this.
Investigation into the mysterious death or disappearance of 11 scientists deepens. And now House Oversight Chair James Comer is worried something shady is happening. Listen.
It does appear that there's a high possibility that something sinister is taking place here. We've asked all those agencies, the Department of Energy, NASA, the Department of War, to all share information with us so that we can see if we can put it together and find any missing links to try to solve what's going on here, because it's very unlikely that this is a coincidence.
Wow, former FBI special agent and Fox News contributor Nicole Parker joins me now. Nicole, that is quite a powerful statement from the Oversight Committee chair.
Yeah, there was an angle of alien intervention or some sort of disclosure being avoided, but it's more likely just foreign interference. One of our rivals on the global stage has something to do with this, which is not to say that aliens don't have any to do with this. I'm sure that governments around the world know things that we don't necessarily know, but the lion's share of the responsibility is probably just a foreign government, one of our rivals.
Just say things willy nilly, loosey goosey. When he says something, it has an import, it has a power. So the fact that he said that tells you something. Do you think something sinister is going on? And if so, what?
You know, Todd, it's an excellent question. I think at this point it's just too soon to know.
Hold on, let me give me this. Um, Amy Eskridge in 2022 died. She actually started an institute. She was working on anti-gravity, and she said something about her death, and that she was not, that she didn't have any desire to self-delete. So that one was super interesting. Michael David Hicks, Frank Mywald. A couple of these people were like, they worked in the administrative office or something. It's like, why are you kidnapping them? But maybe they knew something that other people didn't. And this William Neil McCaslin guy, he's really interesting because he was overseeing some high level research at NASA and Los Alamos, which I'm pretty sure that's where the guy who's super famous for disclosing all that shit about aliens came from. So that is probably the most significant disappearance because he definitely knew some stuff. And the fact that he's missing and not dead, that one is the most intriguing to me.
Myself find it very fascinating, as tragic as it is from the investigative perspective. It's fascinating to break down these 11 individuals, and that's exactly what I've done. I've done a substantial amount of research to see commonalities, things that were different. But I think, you know, looking at it, overarching thoughts is that there are 11 individuals. 5 of them went missing. 6 of them were dead. Of those 6, 2 of them were murdered. And I think it's important to note, for example, one of them was the individual, if you remember, the MIT.
Well, two on the record were murdered. But come on. These are people, brilliant people who had a lot going for them, and they self deleted. Come on, bruh. This reminds me of that story when that guy, he knew some sensitive government information, and he was found dead. He shot himself 3 times in the back of the head or something. Like, what?
Plasma fusion research individual. He was found, you know, he was killed in his home in Massachusetts after the Brown University shooting. It was just a few days after. So it was the same individual that conducted the Brown University shootings and then later went on to kill this MIT plasma research individual.
And that's another thing. Not to get too conspiratorial here, but some people say MK Ultra, inside agent, sleeper agent, whatever you want to call them. She just said that a man that was responsible for shootings days earlier went on to kill this particular guy who may or may not had sensitive information. That can't be coincidental. Like, come on, Doug. Of all the people for him to kill days later, it's that guy.
And so again, to think that that individual was linked necessarily to any of these other cases,
Right.
I would say probably not. That's probably not related. Another individual that was murdered was an individual who was sitting on his porch in rural California and was shot on his porch at 6 a.m. Do I think that that's necessarily linked? I don't know that all of them are linked together, but I think what's important is to see that they may be individually linked to potential foreign intelligence services, espionage, things of that sort. But of the missing individuals, I think it's odd. None of them had their cell phones.
Exactly.
Who leaves their home in this day and age without a cell phone?
Yeah.
Two of them had guns on themselves. I think one of them, her cell phone actually was found and it was factory wiped. It was completely wiped clean. That's a very odd thing to see as an investigator. One of the individuals that I think is most alarming is she went hiking with her friends in the Angeles National Park and she suddenly vanished and disappeared. She was with
Yeah, I think a lot of these individuals knew something was coming and they were trying to avoid their fate. They had some inside knowledge for sure. So, because, a few of these people, they just got up, went hiking without their phones, but they brought a gun. They knew something.
other individuals and they literally said she just disappeared. There was no sign or trace of her, no sign of a struggle. They did a substantial search for her. She just literally is gone. I think also the 34-year-old.
And I checked the friends that she went hiking with. You know what I'm saying?
That's a very young age. Her name was Amy Eskridge, and she herself, back in 2020, was on a YouTube interview and expressed concern for her life. And she said that she was concerned that she could be taken out.
Right, that's what I referenced just a little bit earlier. She started her own institute. She was working with anti-gravity, and she was worried about attempts being made on her life.
And so she had done research on anti-gravity. There's commonality in all of these individuals. They all had, very substantial research experience, either with nuclear weapons, aerospace.
And this anti-gravity thing is kind of interesting because any well-documented case we have of these UFOs or whatever they're calling them, and these things that are flying past our fighter jets in the sky, they're emitting no exhaust, no heat source, they're making no noise, they're going stalled in midair to, whatever, Mach 4 speeds or whatever. They're coming out of the water and shooting up into the sky. This anti-gravity thing is a very interesting concept, and it obviously plays into whatever these UFOs are utilizing. So that's a very interesting field of study, and I wonder what all she knew as far as the UFOs go.
Defense systems, advanced physics, and these are things that other countries, they don't want to see us succeed
Exactly,
at.
Nicole.
Were they trying to silence them to take them out? And that's what's important to know. We've got to get to the bottom of this and do a full investigation. The FBI, the Department of Energy, the Department of War, they are working together, and they will do a full investigation and look at every single case. What is the age of the individual? The mental and health status of the individuals? And things of that sort. What were the relationships that they had? They will do full interviews. They will work with the local law enforcement because they have separate investigations for each of them. And so they'll take all of those cases, they'll put them together, and they'll start linking together patterns.
And I would just add one thing. NASA says it is now investigating because at least 4 of the individuals that you see on your screen were connected to NASA. And I would just add that in that group of agencies that you listed, all of this is connected. It does have some nexus to, let's call it, generally military, and so we'll be curious to see if there is some foreign element involved here. Speaking of foreign elements, want to get your quick thoughts on this. An Iranian national accused of trafficking weapons on behalf of the regime, making millions in the process, made her first court appearance in federal court yesterday after officials arrested her.
Oh, we're making a switch up here. I'll talk on the Iranian thing at another day.